You've probably painted at least one painting in your life, but what did you do with that extra paint? What about the extra paint on your paintbrush? Did you ever mix it with water and pour it down the drain? Well, it turns out that is not a good way to dispose of paint water. Pouring paint water down the drain can result in clogging the drain and or polluting water. The purpose of my project is to find and make paint that is safer to pour down our drains. Paint includes a paint binder, which is what makes paint stick onto surfaces. An example of what a paint binder can be is linseed oil. Linseed oil can help slow down the drying time, which helps a lot if you're painting layers and wanting to blend the paint. In the long term, little paint clumps in the paint water can start to clump in the drain, which results in a clogged drain. We know that paint has a lot of different colors, but why? Colors have wavelengths. Shorter wavelengths appear usually as blue and longer wavelengths appear as red. Some colors absorb other color wavelengths. Some colors reflect or transmit to make other colors. The more the colors you mix in, the more the colors will get absorbed and will reflect less, which is how colors get darker. Sometimes paint can contain toxic metals, such as lead. Paint water that goes through the sewer system can pollute lakes, rivers, and oceans, which ends up harming marine life because of bioaccumulation. Bioaccumulation is when toxins get absorbed by the body quicker than the body can get rid of, which leads to poisoning. This can be avoided by disposing of your paint water properly. For example, wiping as much paint as you can off your brush before washing it in water will reduce the amount of paint that will mix in the water. Finding an alternative paint wasn't too hard to look for. I remembered that a few months ago I watched a video about someone painting with watercolor paint that they made just from flower petals. So I decided to give it a try. I cut flower petals off some of the flowers that I had and put it in a little container. Next, I boiled some water in a kettle and poured it onto the petals afterwards. I put the lid on the container and let it sit for a few hours to let the colors from the flower petals extract. This is what they looked like after a few hours. I made two of the exact same paintings. One is of acrylic paint and one is out of my natural watercolors. You can already tell that the acrylic painting is more vibrant than the watercolor paint. The most difficult paint for me was the watercolor painting. Reasons for that could be because this is only my second time using watercolors, and because also watercolors is a difficult paint to work with. I learned a lot about one of my hobbies, which is obviously painting. I learned things like the ingredients of paint and what each of them do, and how to make my own watercolor paint from things that I can find in my home and out in nature. Next time I would try to find more flowers to make a wider variation of colors, and I would try this again in the spring or summer because it's easier to find flowers during those seasons. Thank you for listening.